my fellow fire people, whether you're performing or you're just getting started with fire or whatever it may be. I've seen a lot of people posting in different flow groups and fire groups asking about, oh, where can I buy Kevlar gloves or things like this. And I was also very frustrated in my search for Kevlar gloves. I couldn't find the style that I wanted or the length, or something was off about them. So I decided to make my own. And just for the record, I'm not a trained seamstress by any means. I'm completely self-taught. This isn't even my sewing machine. Thanks, Mallory. And so basically what I did was I decided to order just normal Kevlar gloves like this. And you can buy them at some Home Depots. That's where I got mine. You can also order them on Amazon. And a trick also, if your local Home Depot doesn't carry them in store, they carry them online and you can get them shipped for free to your local store and pick them up there. And the brand of these is, I will show you. The brand of these ones is BSX, but really any Kevlar glove will work for this project. And I prefer the black ones. They make them in that strange yellow color as well, so if somehow that suits your costume, then go for it. And these look like this when I buy them, and I really don't like the fact that they cover my whole hand. I think it makes for a very slippery surface on your hoop. You don't have as much control. I don't like having my fingers covered, and this thumb hole is very tight, so I just didn't like the way they fit, so I decided to change them into this kind of Kevlar glove. And I'll try this one on so that you guys can see the difference. So this one, it still goes up past your elbow, and it stays very nicely, as you can see. It doesn't fall down. And now your hand is free, but it still covers your wrist and your forearm. But your hand is free to be able to better manipulate the hoop, and it just stays on with this elastic band that goes over your middle finger. And they were fairly simple to make. It has a few steps, but I'm going to walk you guys through how to make your own pair. And it cost me, maybe the Kevlar gloves were about $12 for the pair, and then the materials were basically nothing, just a tiny strip of elastic and thread. And I'm sure you all have scissors and stuff laying around. So let's get started. First I'll show you what you need. So first you need a pair of Kevlar gloves. Once again, these are BSX brand, but it doesn't really matter. And for this project, to make them look like this, you do need to buy the ones that go over your hand with the thumb hole. So once you have these, we're going to be considering the side with the logo our inside out way, because we don't want the logo to show on our finished glove, because I think it's very strange looking. Anyway, so you need your Kevlar gloves, a pair of really sharp scissors. I'm using my kitchen scissors. They seem to cut the Kevlar the best. I also switch back and forth between these kind of crappy scissors. You'll need a sewing machine, and I'm borrowing one from a friend because I don't have one, but I've also learned that a lot of cities have makers spaces where you can go and just use a sewing machine if you bring your own thread. So then you'll need thread, of course. Pins really help to kind of secure the glove, although they're not completely necessary. And then you just need about 2 strips of elastic this length. This is a little bit longer than I use, but depending on the length between your hand and your finger where you want the glove to fit, this should be enough if you have 2 of these. And then you also need something just to mark on the glove. I found that a red pen strangely shows up on these gloves. I wish I had a piece of chalk. I think that would work even better. Okay, and that's all you need. So let's get started. What you want to do is put the glove on the hand that you're making it for. I know most hands are the same more or less, but just to be more precise. And you want to make sure that this glove is made out of 2 layers of Kevlar sewed together at the top and around the thumb hole. So you want to make sure that you pull both layers pretty tight when you put it on so that it's even and laying flat and there aren't a bunch of like wrinkles and stuff. Okay, so once you have the glove on your hand, what you want to do is you want to mark with your pen or your chalk or your lipstick or whatever you're using, right where that bone is on your wrist. So right above that, you want to make a line so that you know where to cut. And you can just draw the line all the way around your wrist so that it goes right above the two, right here, right above the two little bones on your wrist, okay? And you want to make that line all the way around the glove, so a total circle. Okay, and then the second mark we're going to make is you want to find the middle of your hand. So for me, it's about right here, and you want to just put a little dot so that you can remember where the middle of your hand is. Okay, and then you can, once you have the wrist marked and the dot where the middle of your hand is, you can go ahead and take the glove off, and we're going to start cutting. Okay, so very important. Don't cut like this. Okay, don't cut with them together. You want to first cut down each side. So first we'll cut down the side where the thumb hole is. In this cut, you're going to cut off all this fabric anyway, so really just any kind of cut you can get, okay? So that opens it up into the two different sides. And then what you want to do is continue cutting that line down the side of the glove until you get to the mark that you made for your wrist, and then stop. So mine's just below the thumb hole. Okay, and then you want to make the exact same cut down the other side of your glove. And again, these cuts can be kind of messy because you're going to cut off all of this fabric anyway. So now my glove will look something like this, with two open pieces. So on the back of the glove, so this is the front where you drew the dot on the hand. On the back of the glove, you're just going to cut horizontally across that line that you drew to mark where your wrist was. And also, you want to cut a little bit above the line so that you can actually sew on the line. Because if you cut right at the line, you'll have to sew a bit below it, and then the gloves will be a little bit shorter than you expected, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now you have this little bit of Kevlar. I don't know, you could like put it on your face or throw it away. Okay, so now I have this line in the back where I cut out the back of the glove, and then I have this flappy part at the top. And notice that, like I said, the Kevlar is made out of two pieces of Kevlar just sewed at the top, so this is going to open. So once you finish cutting, you're gonna have like a bit of moving around, I guess, with the glove if you're not careful. So what I like to do is, as soon as this opens up and it's no longer one piece together and it's two, I just like to pin it. Just one pin in the back is fine, you don't need more than that, and it just helps to keep the glove kind of stable while you're working on it. So I just put a pin in the back. And don't worry if this line isn't straight, because you're going to sew a straight line, so if your cut's not totally straight, it's no big deal. Okay, so now on the front, what you want to do is you want to cut diagonally from where the end of your wrist line is to the center dot. And I kind of make mine like a curved diagonal line. I think it looks nicer on the hand. But really just a diagonal line from here to this point, and then back down from this point to here. And again, cutting on the outside of your line so that you have room to sew it, and it doesn't end up being too small. So when you get to the top, you don't want to cut your fabric into a point. You want to leave like a horizontal line, because that's where you're going to end up sewing the elastic, and it's really difficult to sew the elastic onto a small point, so you want to leave kind of a bigger area to sew the elastic onto. So again, you end up with another like chunk of Kevlar that you can do something with, or you can throw it away. So, and again, look, this opens up into two parts. So I, again, pin each side of my triangle that I had cut out. So just 2 pins on each side, and that should be enough. And again, if your lines aren't perfectly straight or even, or it looks a bit wonky, don't worry, because you're gonna sew it, so it's all good. So I just put a pin there. So you should now have 3 pins in your gloves, and I know they look very strange, and you might be thinking, oh my god, this girl's killing my Kevlar gloves I just bought, but they're gonna look great, I promise. Okay, so now what we need to do is sew this top part, okay? So the easier parts to sew is these two, okay? So I start with this side, and you just sew down in a triangle and sew back up. And you want to get the line of sewing, your stitches, as close to the edge as possible without, you don't want to sew these frayed bits, you want to get the actual material, but as close to the edge as possible. So you take one pin out, and you just sew along that line. And be really careful not to sew your glove together, because then it's not a glove anymore. So then you just snip the threads, and this is actually going to be the inside of your glove. So, I mean, I cut these threads off because I think they're uncomfortable on the inside of my glove, but it doesn't really matter how close you cut them or whatever. So now I've sewed the 2 diagonal lines together. It's not that good, that's okay. Now what you do is you take the pin out of the back, and you have to sew around this edge here to completely enclose your glove so it's not open into 2 places. So to do this, you have to peel back this bit and sew it so that you don't sew your glove together. So this is the trickier part, and I just do it in sections. So I will start with maybe from here to here, and then I turn the glove and do a little bit more to keep my line straight and to keep me from sewing the glove together. So now we've sewed all the way around our glove, the edges of the glove, the triangle, and then around the wrist part. So you can just cut the little thready bits on the end. And now what we're going to do is some more cutting. So we want, this is like really ugly frayed shit on the outside, so we want it to be a nice like clean edge, which is also for safety purposes because you don't want fray bits by fire. Just my personal opinion on that. Anyway, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this armband, and before you freak out, like this isn't really elastic here, it's just the material is actually pretty stretchy itself, and I was worried the first time I did it about cutting the armband off, but mine stay up perfectly fine. So it isn't a problem. So you want to just cut as close to that you can to the like to the actual like thick black part. So you just want to cut off the very top of it. Okay, again, make something out of it, throw it away. So now you can see that you have like 1, 2, 3, 4 glovey bits because you just cut off the seam that was holding them all together because it's a 2-layered glove. So now what you're gonna do is peel back this first layer that has the logo on it. So you're gonna peel that down, okay? And then what you're gonna do is stick your hand inside of the glove. Right. Yeah. And you're gonna push up that little point that you sewed earlier. And you're going to pull, wait, sorry, this part kind of fucks with me. Yeah, and you're gonna pull this other part inside with your fingers, okay? And then you just kind of shake it out. And now you have your glove shape. Okay. And you can put your hand in it the other way to kind of get that other glove back inside. Okay, so now you have like this really nice looking hem on your glove. It might not be completely even, it might go to one side, but it looks way better than the frayed part. And honestly, when they're on, you won't be able to tell if it's lopsided or not. So now what we have to do is we have to Okay, and then another thing is if you can see like this emblem through your glove, that means that this layer is on the outside and we want this layer on the inside. So then you just take both layers together and you flip them inside out. And this can be done after you've sewed the top back together, but just so you know. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we need to hem the top because again, we have these furry bits, they're very ugly, whatever. So what I do is I just fold the top layer just a bit. You don't wanna cut off too much length of your glove. But as you can see, this one is still a bit longer than the other one. So that's about how much fabric you're going to fold into the glove to make your hem. So you just take the outside layer and you fold it in maybe 1/2 inch is fine, that's enough. Just enough to kind of hide the frayed parts. And then you fold your, the inside layer in as well, about 1/2 inch. So this layer goes backwards and this layer goes towards the first layer. Okay, now it should look something like this, have like a nice edge. You can hold it up to your other glove if you've already done one to kind of say, oh, they're gonna be the same length or they're gonna be different or whatever. Mine are pretty much the same and I'm okay with that. So then you want to pin it because again, this is kind of a difficult sew to do because you have to spin the sleeve around. So I put about between 3 and 4 pins at the top, just where it's folded over, just to keep your hemline straight. Makes it look a little bit nicer, make sure that you're not sewing the glove together. Okay, well, I'll leave the last pin out because I'm going to sew it right now. So you want to start, so pretend I had a pin here, take the pin out and you start there, making sure that you're holding back the rest of the glove because, again, you don't want to sew the two sides together. Okay, so then you just sew in a circle. You want to stay about 1/4 inch away from the edge of your glove, and let's go. Your hem, just cut the little thready bits, and this is the right side of your glove, so it does look nicer if you cut them very close to the fabric, so you don't have thready bits hanging off. They'll probably burn off anyway. Anyway, so now you are finished with your glove. So now what you want to do is put it back on the hand that you're going to be using it for. Again, doesn't really matter, I guess. Anyway, and you want to pull it up to just so where it covers your wrist. And again, this should meet about middle of your hand, maybe a bit higher. Pull it up to where you feel comfortable. If you want a little bit of your wrist exposed, but you want your elbow covered, it's really just personal preference. But the elastic will really help to get this tight. And then you also want to like rotate the glove so that the triangle is in the middle of your hand, kind of pointing towards your middle finger like this. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the glove back off, and you want to just pin about this length in elastic, so maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch, onto your glove. Okay. And now put the glove back on. Careful not to prick yourself. Okay, and now we're just going to, and remember to pull it back to the place that it felt comfortable to you. And now we're going to wrap the elastic around our middle finger and pull it tight, not so tight that you're like pulling your finger back, but just to where you think it would be comfortable for you to wear it when using the gloves. So mine's about right here. And then you just mark it. And I just do that with my fingers, I just hold it. And then you just cut the length of elastic that you'll need, okay? And now you unpin it, and we are going to sew this to the inside of our glove. So this is the outside, you can't see the label. So you just turn it to face you so that you can see this part. And you put the elastic on there, fold it over so it makes a loop like this. And you just layer the elastic on top of each other, okay? And now we are going to sew, first I sew a straight line across both ends of the elastic, and this is just to keep it in place while I sew it a little bit more securely on. And I mean, it's probably secure enough with just that, but I don't trust that, just a little bit of thread. So I then sew, once I've sewed this straight line across both pieces of elastic, which is holding it fine, I then sew down both diagonal lines. Okay, so this is kind of what the sewing looks like on the finger on the inside where I sewed the elastic. So now you're done, and you can put your glove on, and then you just slip the elastic through your middle finger and you can pull it back like this. And I found that these have worked so well for me. They're very comfortable. It's not, you know, you have full range of motion in your hand and your wrist, but it's still full coverage and protection. And I live by these. I like them a lot. And again, it cost me about $12 to make a pair. And I haven't been able to find a pair like these online. So I just thought I would share with you guys how to make these awesome gloves, because you can do it yourself, and I'm sure you can find a sewing machine to use. It's really not so complicated. And of course, it would probably look better if you used black thread. I just didn't care. I was kind of in a hurry, and I already had my machine with red thread in it. And you can barely see the thread, so it's not a big deal. But anyway, so thank you guys for watching. I hope that this was a useful tutorial for you. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments or send me a message. I'd be happy to help you out if you're stuck or can't find Kevlar gloves to cut or anything like that. So I hope you all enjoy.